This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
When someone tries to tell you that the left is overreacting, that liberals are overreacting, that Democrats are overreacting, by the way, all three of those things are different things. They can be different. When they say that we are overreacting, that the United States is not plummeting to a near certain death at the hands of fascism and white Christian nationalism, you tell them you don't believe them. And there's reasons why. You may have heard over the holiday weekend that Nick Fuentes and Kanye West had dinner with Donald Trump, candidate for President of the United States of America again in 2024. Former ex-President of the United States, breaking bread with racists, breaking bread with white Christian nationalists, breaking bread with Holocaust deniers, with outspoken, explicit, anti-democratic ghouls. President of the United States of America, leader, wants to be leader again of all America's people. And cavorting with, associating with people who are outspoken proponents of a dictatorship in America led by Donald Trump. This tweet really sums it up from Christopher Matthias. Fuentes is as vile as they come, explicitly racist and anti-Semitic, praised Hitler, says the N-word, marched with Nazis in Charlottesville, cheered on January 6th rioters at the Capitol, Holocaust denier, advocates political violence, killing lawmakers, now having dinner with Trump, the de facto leader of the GOP. Now, I have been ringing the bell, sounding the alarm about this little puke for a long time, years now. And now that he has supped with our former fascist in chief, it is time to revisit him. Time to talk about his dangerous worldview. Now listen, if this was a situation, as I get my mouth to work here, where he was just a lone dum-dum, it would be a whole different situation. I would not be talking about him. But he has an organization with presumably tens of thousands of loyal, dedicated, passionate followers who hang on his every weakling word, who are imbued with power based on his hatred and racism and dangerous ideologies that led to a woman's death in Charlottesville. Here, I was going to play this CNN clip, but I think if you watched long enough, you know who this guy is. You know that his just gross, disgusting, dehumanizing language he uses. So I'm going to skip that clip. Let's start though with Nick Fuentes just fanboying, losing it over having dinner with Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump said he likes me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to come across smug or anything, because I don't think that's really the right tone. I think that's kind of like, it's probably like tacky or whatever, but there's some smugness. Because it's like everybody hated on me. I feel like I'm entitled to that a little bit. Everybody hated on me forever. And it's up, Trump told me he liked me. Dude, I was just like, oh my gosh. Trump was like, I like you. I was like, me? He said, this guy's smart. Where did you find this guy? I was like, yeah. Hello, Epic Department. Hello, Awesome Department. So, yeah, that felt good. That felt good. I'm not really an emotional guy or anything, but that was just like, okay, let's go. That was like life complete. Life complete. So I literally had Thanksgiving dinner with Ye and Donald Trump. So crazy, right? My two heroes. And they both love me. And it's Thanksgiving dinner. It's like a dream come true. I literally woke up the next day and I was like, is this real life? Am I alive? Think about it. Thanksgiving dinner, Ye and Trump. And Trump is telling me, I like you. You're a smart guy and all this. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. Trump was like, I like you. Me? Me, Mr. Trump? You like me? What do I do? Embarrassing. Yet legions, presumably, follow and adore this little puke. Here he is. Now listen, a lot of people would ask, why would Donald Trump want to have dinner with him? Why would Donald Trump want to have dinner with Kanye? They share the ideology. Listen, Kanye West has zero chance of becoming president of the United States. Zero. But what he does do is stand a chance of siphoning off vote that might otherwise not go to Donald Trump, that would go to another party, thereby strengthening the race of Donald Trump. And with Donald Trump being as unpopular as he is, he needs every single chance he can get, every angle that he can work to become president. So it's not by accident that Kanye would run for president again, like he did, because it would help Donald Trump. So the question of why would Donald Trump break bread with Nick Fuentes is answered in this clip, which outlines one of many of the ideologies of Nick Fuentes.
We need to have something like a white uprising, politically speaking, gain control of social media, maybe just get rid of Congress altogether after that happens. Here's the pathway. We have one more election where white people can make the decision. The white people got to make the right decision, and then Trump's got to get in there and never leave. That, to me, at this point, is a pathway. So it's time to shut up, elect Trump one more time, and then stop having elections.
He wants a white uprising. He wants to do away with Congress, gain control of Congress. One more election, he proclaims, white people have to make the right decision. White people. Elect Trump one more time and then stop having elections. That would be a proposition that Donald Trump, as my Amazon assistant over here goes off, that would be a proposition that Donald Trump could get behind. So why wouldn't he have dinner with an individual who wants to elect Trump one more time and then do away with elections? That seems right up Donald Trump's alley. Again, here's another clip from months ago where he professes his love for having no democracy, not being a proponent of democratic rule in our country.
I'm illiberal. I don't believe in democracy. I do not believe in universal suffrage. I don't support women's rights. I don't support LGBT rights. I believe in race and gender essentialism. I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic reactionary. I believe that organized Jewry is extremely influential in the United States and pushes America towards an open society, liberalism, internationalism for their own benefit at the expense of America. I think they do that corporately. These are all things that I believe.
Yeah, he's illiberal. He does not believe in democracy. He doesn't believe in universal suffrage or the right to vote. No women's rights, no LGBTQ rights. He's a race and gender essentialism proponent. An organized Jewry is bad for this country. Jewish people collectively, I had to look it up. Jewry, Jewish people collectively. So Jewish people collectively are bad for America, he's saying. Among other things, here he is saying that blacks are inherently violent.
You know, these left-wing people, in their heart of hearts, they know they're wrong because, like, they know that black people are violent. You know, I will say, hey, black people are violent. And then they'll go, I bet you wouldn't say that in front of a black person. Why? Because they're a thug that'll hit me? Like, so you know it too. Okay, so you agree with me, you know? I could go on the show and say, hey, you know, these blacks, hey, 13% of the population, half the crime, you know, they struggle with the impulse control, they're violent. And then they'd say, bet you wouldn't say that in front of a black person. Oh, really? Why is that? Because they would, you know, they read me their dissertation from Harvard about why that's not true, or why? Because they would hit me. Why? Well, because we fundamentally agree.
Interesting. Nick Fuentes. They are inherently violent. Here, it's oddly enough, here's another clip of you bemoaning the fact that you're not allowed to punch women in their faces.
We're allowing women to go out into the society and lie and bear false witness and cast spells and worship minerals and rocks. And women are out there naked and they're killing babies and they're getting to be 300 pounds and they get in your face and we can't do anything about it. You can't hit these people. You can't punch them. They don't arrest them. And basically they're taking over the culture on social media. I said, what happened to the good old days 1,000 years ago when people like this, instead of arguing with them or saying, hey, listen, darling, everything's okay, they would dunk them in the river or burn them alive. I said, this is the kind of thing that we need to see more of, is burning them alive a little bit more. Taking women like this, and instead of hiring a lawyer for all this money and we're going to sue him for defamation, how about we go to the constable or whatever, we go to the police officer, the soldier stationed in the village, and say, hey, we got to burn her alive. You know, hey, this woman is worshiping rocks. She's bearing false witness. She's lying about men. And basically, we need to capture her and throw her in the lake. Or set her on fire. I feel like that would be more appropriate. And everybody freaked out. And this was all over Twitter. And everybody said, oh, this is horrible. Is this guy for real? Yeah, I'm for real.
Maybe it's you who's inherently violent. Although I don't know that anybody has anything to worry about from you, you quarter-pint puke. Who are you going to harm with a punch from those number 2 pencil arms? Jerk off. You tiny, physical coward. All this tough guy talk is just, come on. Put your money where your mouth is. If you're that much of a tough guy who's going to stand up and stand in the gap and defend this or defend that, put on the uniform of your country or shut your mouth. Here he is saying you're either a Catholic or you're a Jew. And then talks about how he wants a Catholic media and a Catholic Hollywood and a Catholic government while denigrating Jews.
So you're either a Catholic or you're a Jew. You're either a Catholic or you're with the Jews. That's how it is. That's the way the world is. So anyway, that's that. And when are Catholics going to start asserting their control? I want Catholics to run this country, not Jews. I want this country to be run by Catholics, not Jews. And I don't think that's controversial. I want this country to have Catholic media, Catholic Hollywood, Catholic government. I want this to be a Catholic-occupied government, not a Jewish-occupied government. That's not controversial for us. It may be controversial for you. It's not controversial for us. We're Christians. You're not. It's not they could say it's eyebrow raising for who? These people with the fucking cubes on their head with the fucking linen line wrapped around the city? Maybe. Who cares about them and their eyebrows and their frickin' descriptions of movies? It's not controversial for us. We're Christians. You know what's eyebrow raising for us? Wearing a cube on your head. That's eyebrow raising. I make that when I see some guy with a frickin' thing wrapped around his head and a little hat under a big hat, I'm like, what? Jesus already came, dude. It's the Messiah's arrived. What are you doing?
Now, this viewpoint is interesting to me because I grew up in the evangelical flavor of Christianity. That was my faith tradition. Christian nationalist evangelical. I would go as far as to say white Christian nationalist. And I was taught, I always believed that Catholics were a cult, Mormons were a cult, Jehovah's Witnesses, that's a cult. The only true church, the only true way to heaven is our particular brand, our particular doctrine. If you pray to saints, that's idol worship. A pope, the scripture that was constantly talked about to bash Catholics is, no man cometh unto the Father but by me, Jesus said. So there is no intercessory prayer. You can't go to pray to the saints that they're going to, all of this was a knock against Catholics. So I don't know who he thinks he's talking to, who he thinks his audience is, because there's a wide swath of Protestants, of Christians out there who don't believe the Catholic Church is a true Christian religion. I know it's getting long here. Here's another one. Talking about the classes. We'll just play one other clip after this. The classes, we need a class system in America. And then goes on to artfully not use the actual N-word, but says we are N-ified and J-ified in this country, and then begins to become enraged, screaming that we live in Africa with more stuff.
To have a civilization, you need to have class, okay? When I say class, I mean classes. You need to have commoners and aristocrats and kings, and we don't have that anymore. There's no semblance of that. There's no semblance of society, meaning like clubs and people knowing each other and this sort of large amounts of social capital being invested in particular kinds of things. It's not there. It's not there in the universities. It's not in the designer brands. It's not in the industry. It doesn't exist anymore. We've just got this big N-word free-for-all. It's a big end-up, N-rified, J-ified free-for-all. We live in Africa with more stuff, okay? We live in Africa or Mexico with more stuff. We live in a big Middle Eastern bazaar. We're a big fucking Middle Eastern bazaar with people sitting on blankets and selling cockroaches on sticks and rugs.
That guy dined with the President of the United States, ex-president, but President of the United States no less. Those viewpoints were praised. Donald Trump told him, I like you. You're my type of fella. A man who half the country, ostensibly, roughly half, stands behind, believes the lies of, wants back at the helm of the United States. And here's this last one. Telling Jews and others to stop talking about the Holocaust. He's tired of hearing about the Holocaust. That the true Holocaust was the crucifixion of Jesus.
When are white people going to stand up and say that? How dare you? And white people are always apologetic. Oh, no, I'm not a Nazi. Oh, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. I would never. No, I'm not this, I'm not that. Hang on. First of all, how dare you? How dare you? This is a decent nation. This is a good nation of good people. And if anything, this nation welcomed Jewish people into America. And then this is what we get, right? If anything, America welcomed Jewish immigrants throughout the 20th century for various reasons. And then what do? They become successful in media and Hollywood and then browbeat us and call us Nazis and call us exterminationists and say we're murderers. Why? Because we profess the same faith that we always have? Because of our ancestors who built this country that so graciously welcomed you here? How disrespectful. How dare you? Ingrate. How dare you? That's my feeling about it. I've heard enough about this Holocaust. I've heard enough about it. I don't want to hear one more time about it. Enough about that. How about we hear about the generosity of America that brought you here? We hear Holocaust museums. How about some gratitude museums? How about some gratitude for Christendom? How about some gratitude for European civilization? Some gratitude for America? Instead, all we get is this guilting. All we get is this blood libel, insults. How dare you? You want to talk about a Holocaust. You know, the real Holocaust was Jesus Christ being crucified. That was a real Holocaust. You want to talk about a Holocaust?
Holocaust museums? How about gratitude museums? I'm baffled by how the thin pencil neck, the lithe pencil neck, is able to support the weight of his pumpkin head. But, you know, let me ask you this, little Nick. Little Nicky. If not for the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, there wouldn't be a way to heaven, because God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that you may not perish but have everlasting life. Right? Isn't that John 16? Isn't that the scripture you purport to believe in? So without the salvation message, without the gospel, without the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, there would be no Christianity. There would be no path to heaven, if that's what you believe, for you. So it had to happen. It was not a Holocaust, but a plan that was put in place. Are you denigrating the overarching, genius, brilliant plan of God? Are you second guessing the creator of the universe as you believe him to be? Come on. Come on. Anyway, this is who Donald Trump is choosing to dine with. And for all you idiots out there who are going to say, well, he didn't know who he was. It's not like you having a friend bring a friend to dinner. This is a man who wants to be president of the United States again. You vet who you're going to break bread with. Otherwise, you end up having dinner with a Nazi. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. Let's mix it up in the comments. If you appreciate what I do, support my work, you can click the join button, become a channel member. You can also go over to my Patreon site if you're more comfortable with that giving mechanism. Patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Both those are great ways to help support what I do here. If you have not yet subscribed to the lovely, talented, and scholarly Brittany Page's YouTube channel, please go do that. She posted a video last week on this white supremacist cop in Boise that is fantastic. You may not know, but Brittany was raised in a virulent white supremacy household. Idaho Nazis is what they were. And she goes through and talks about this particular individual who has been outed as one of these Nick Fuentes types who served for an entire career in the Boise Police Department. Go subscribe to her channel and watch that video. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you very much. We have tough times ahead, but we have the mettle and we have right on our side. Be genuine. Take care of one another.